Okay, welcome to today's Business Owners Mastermind call. My name is John Pyron. I'm your host. This call happens every single Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Been doing this call since April of 2014. And so if you go back, I think it finally got through my head one day. I go, why don't I put this out on a podcast or put it on my website? And so everything from January 1st on is available up on my website at johnpyron.com. You can also capture it going to iTunes and looking up the 10X Mastermind Group. So we're broadcasting live today on Facebook. If you go to Facebook, obviously, and look up John Pyron, you'll see the live video feed, and it's being recorded as well. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics because it's one thing to hire employees. It's a whole nother thing to hire great employees. And here's the difference. Good employees will cost you a crap load of money, okay? You may like them. You may want to go out and party with them. You may want to sing Kumbaya and do s'mores together. But I'm going to tell you right now, if they don't have the skill set and they don't have what it takes to be an employee, they are going to cost you a boatload of money. So it's one of the hardest things that we do as business owners. It's one of the things that frustrates us the most. It is definitely the one thing that costs us the most money as a business owner. So I'm going to talk today about how to capture your perfect employee so that you can get the freedom that you want in your business. Now, what makes me uniquely qualified to talk about this topic? Because some of you have never heard me speak before. So October 28th, 1990, I started my very first company. It was a network marketing business. I had joined right out of tech school. The mentor I had kept asking me to go out and talk to perfect strangers, which didn't resonate at all with me at all, okay? So about 4 years into that relationship, I called it quits, hid for a couple of years, then decided to start a tech company. Hired a guy named Dave Vanny. The rest is history. Hired in that particular company over 40 employees. That sold my interest in that company. The next company hired 26 employees. Next company hired 12 employees in the first 3 years. Took it to $1 million from nothing. The very next year did another $1 million, but with 6 employees. Now, here's the difference. And then the next company I bought for $250,000. Took it to $750,000 in about a year and a half. And did it with 2 employees. Everything else was outsourced. At the end of the day, I was working about 5 hours a week, making a crap load of money. Why? Because I had absolutely unbelievably great employees. I didn't settle for it. And some of you have employees that are on staff right now, and you know what I'm talking about, where they're not performing at the level that you would wish them to perform at. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not their fault, okay? It's your fault. You're the business owner. You're the one that hired them. You're the one that made the mistake and went through that process. Well, guess what? I'm going to give you some tools here today that I use to hire employees, that I help other clients hire employees, so you can capture the perfect employee, because at the end of the day, like I said, a perfect employee, a great employee will not cost you a single dime. They will make you a boatload of money. So let's hop into a couple of things before I get started, actually. I'm doing 3 live speaking engagements over the next 3 weeks. One of them is October 26th at 8 o'clock in the morning from 8 to 10 for the Rockland Chamber of Commerce. Going to be how to create and plan your 2017 strategic business plan. It's going to be an actual workshop. You're going to want to be there and bring a pencil, bring a recorder. I do this only once a year. So you want to be there. Go to the Rockland Chamber of Commerce website and register there. On November 3rd, I'm going to be giving the keynote speech for Revamp Sacramento. It's going to be about 300 to 400 entrepreneurs there. The biggest networking event for business owners all year long. So all the who's who of Sacramento is going to be there. There's going to be 3 speakers. I'm going to wind it up as the keynote and going to knock it out of the park. So go look up Revamp Sacramento, and the registration link is there. Last but not least, the last speech I'm going to give this year is going to be on November 10th, the Rockland Chamber of Commerce breakfast at Whitney Oaks Golf Club from 7:30 a.m. until about 9 a.m. We're going to talk about time management, how to finish the year strong. So highly encourage you be at those events. Those are really key events to finish 2016 strong. So let's talk about what we came here to talk about today, employees, okay? So here's some interesting statistics, okay? Average employees cost you money, but perfect employees make you money, okay? We've talked about that. See, successful businesses understand the importance of making the right hiring decisions. And what's interesting is how much money companies spend hiring the right person. The average company in the United States of America spends $3,300 per hire just on recruiting the right person. Now, some of you are probably thinking, I didn't spend that kind of money on hiring a great person. Sure you did. How much is your time worth? How much time did you and your business partner spend with that person? How much do you make per hour? How much time did you have that person go through different meetings, phone screenings, the assessments that you did? So if you're not spending a good amount of money to hire a person, you probably need to tweak your hiring process. I'm going to tell you this from personal experience. Hire slowly, okay? Take your slow, sweet time to hire slowly, because when you do that, you're going to find the right person. On the flip side, if you find yourself hiring the wrong person, or you wake up in the morning and you realize you've got the wrong person on the bus, fire quickly, okay? I can't tell you how much money you will save. I remember in, 2006, 7, hired a guy named Dale. Built the company from 0 to 385 the first year, 652 the second year. I'm like, man, I need to hire a salesperson. So I'm thinking, man, I'm going to hire my buddy Dale. He's uniquely qualified. He's been in business for 18 years. And I completely bypassed my entire process of hiring this guy and thought, he's been a business owner. He was a personal mentor of mine. I mean, he will knock it out. Nobody is a better fit than this guy. So I brought him on board, gave him an incredible salary plus commission schedule, and I said, man, if you need any help, you just let me know. And a month went by, no sales. 2 months went by, no sales. 3 months went by, no sales. I'm sitting there going, what the problem is, right? I mean, I hired the great superstar stud salesperson. I mean, the guy trained me, for crying out loud. What was the difference? He wasn't a fit for the job that I had in the company that I had. Had I gone through a process, I could have saved myself, was that $7,500, $10,500 is what that bad hiring decision cost me. Okay? So finally I had to say, hey, I know we're good friends. I know we've been friends for years, but we gotta cut ties. Okay? The other thing I learned is, for me, I try not to hire friends and relatives because it clouds the judgment. Now, I'm not saying not to hire friends and relatives. I got some clients that have some very successful employees that are friends and relatives. But you got to understand, whoever you're going to hire, you may have to fire. Okay? So the one thing that you want to do is take your time. In the United States alone, it's estimated that $72 billion a year is spent on recruiting and hiring. Why wouldn't we as business owners take our time to go through a rigid hiring process? And I'm going to, before the end of our call today, I'm going to give you the step-by-step, because that's how I roll. Every single call I do, there's going to be some step-by-step on how you can take action. And if you need to talk to me or run any ideas by me, definitely go to my website, johnpyron.com, click on book appointment, you can get on my calendar. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so let's talk about, okay, what's interesting is Harvard Business Review estimates that 80% of turnover is due to bad hiring decisions. And I can testify to that. Okay, 80%. I remember one time in September of 2008. Yeah, September 2008. Me and my partner Justin had an event to go down to San Diego. We said, okay, we're going to go down. We had hired an assistant, a personal assistant for the company. And we bypassed some of our processes, didn't check the background, didn't go through the competencies assessment, that sort of thing. Comes on board. Hired her through a temp agency on top of that, so I wouldn't have to deal with any of that stuff. And what's funny is the person that was my salesperson for the temp agency gave them all the parameters of what I wanted. Trusted that they had a great hiring process. Trusted that they were going to vet the person properly. And so I hired the person on. The person seemed to be working out. So we decided, hey, we're going down to this event in San Diego. Let's fly down the previous day and play golf. There's a new golf course called Pelican Hill in Newport Beach. Unbelievable course. So I said, hey, book the flight, book the hotel, book all this other stuff, arrange for us to play golf the previous day. And we flew down there, and I'm getting off at John Wade Airport. I got the car. Everything's going great. I'm like, this is going to be the greatest day on the planet, man. My buddy Craig's been telling me about this golf course. So we get in there. We pull up. It's one of those golf courses. They greet you out at the front. They open your car door, and it's like we want to take your clubs and put them in the cart, and you go in and get yourself going, right? Pull up. The guy says, what's your name? I said, John Pyron. He goes, you're not on the tee sheet. I go, what? Of course I'm on the tee sheet. I got confirmation right here. Okay? And so went inside. Nope, not on the tee sheet. I said, okay, look at tomorrow. And sure enough, we're on the schedule for tomorrow. And I said, well, hey, no problem. Mistake on my assistant's part. Let's just get on the schedule today. He says, sorry, Tiger Woods is here doing a clinic. The whole course is taken out. Here's the point. We find a golf course. We come back. Okay, my rep Carmen calls me up and she goes, hey, how did it go? And I go, well, other than getting my tee time screwed up, it's fine. She goes, well, I'll find you a new candidate before you get back. I said, okay. I said, you don't really have to do that. It's just a simple mistake. She goes, no. That person needs to have the job role that she has requires great attention to detail. You cannot afford somebody screwing up like that. And what I had found out through that process is there are assessments out there. One of them is TTI International, Target Training International. Now, you can go to Target Training International and try to buy from them all you want. You have to be a coach or consultant in order to buy from them. So, and I happen to be a TTI certified coach. So you can get all those assessments through me. But had I done a competencies assessment of this person, I would have discovered, and I did it afterwards, I would have discovered that attention to detail, analysis of data was very low on the totem pole for this person. Person was great behavioral-wise, great personality, great value add to the office, but for the role that I had her in, making simple mistakes like that was going to become a pattern. And so thank God I had a temp agency. So she had me a new candidate, interviewed 3 people, settled on a gal named Amy, and it was the best hire I've ever had. I took her through a completely rigid process in order to get hired. And so let's talk about how do you, because some of you are asking, okay, when do I hire an employee? How do I know who to hire and what to hire for? I'm going to give you 4 things to do. Number 1, I want you to make a list of every single thing that you do in your business to make your business run. That's number 1. Number 2, I want you to make a second list looking at the first list. I want you to look at the second list and go, okay, what on that first list am I not great at? I mean, and I'm talking great. I'm talking you can teach a class on the subject. Okay? What is the one thing I am absolutely not great at or I just don't want to do anymore? We all have that on our list. The third list is all the things that are left over that you are absolutely great at that you want to do more of. Now that you got those 3 lists, you're going to look at list number 2 and list number 3. And you're going to say, okay, what can I automate? What can I delegate? What can I outsource? And delegating and outsourcing and automating can all be done by a great employee. So when I did this I redid this exercise for my own business back in June. And made a whole list of all the stuff that I'm doing in my business, all the stuff I'm not great at, don't want to do anymore, all the stuff that I love to do, and I came down to 3 things that I absolutely love to do in my business. Only 3 things. And where I came up with 3 things is I follow people like Grant Cardone, I follow people like Warren Buffett, I follow people like Mark Cuban, billionaires who all say this: if you, the owner, are doing more than 1 to 3 things in your business, you don't have the right employees on board. You're not positioned to explode in growth. And so I looked at all the stuff I was doing. I'm like, okay, where's the biggest payoff? Where's the biggest payoff for my money? For me, it's public speaking, what I'm doing right here and now, or being in front of a live group or a webinar or a conference call or doing a workshop or any of that stuff. Number 2 is going to be one-on-one coaching or consulting. Number 3 is going to be creating content. Now, at first I had creating, editing, and curating content, but I found it's not a good use of my time to edit it or curate it. I would rather dictate it. Okay? And so I go, those are the 3 things I should be spending all of my time on that will make the company and myself the most money and have the biggest impact, because I want to impact business owners around the world. Now, what am I going to do with all the other stuff? Well, here's what I did. I said, okay, I need someone who has an executive assistant background. Okay, I need someone who knows how to edit and curate content, video, audio, that sort of thing. I need somebody who can think on their feet, who's sharp, who's fast, who's got the skill set, who's got the personality style, all that stuff. I came up with a benchmark, and I went out and talked to several people. I finally found a lady named Ashley, and she's on the other side of this video camera right now. She's on the other side of the audio program, and she's the one controlling and pressing the buttons, because I used to have to do that crap. Okay? And I said, and so did I just hire her because of her background? No. Did I hire her because of her great personality? No. Here's what I hired her for. I gave her an assessment, and I measured, okay, what are her behavioral styles? What are her driving forces? What drives her on a personal level? And what are her top 25 competencies? And it's a trimetrics report that I was able to give to her, okay, as an employee or as a potential employee. She went online, took 30 minutes to take the test, came back. I looked at it, matched it up with the job requirements, and oh my God, it was like match, 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 match. I mean, so much matching, it was incredible. So then I did a telephone interview with her to verify all this stuff. And then I asked her for her background. And then I said, okay, we're going to go at this on a temporary basis for 90 days to make sure it's a fit. Brought her on board, and the rest is history. I mean, she started taking stuff off my plate that I'm like, oh my God, she's actually doing this better than me. Now I'm fired up because it creates a leverage, you see. And so you want to be mindful. Okay, so everything I just said, here's the reason I'm telling you all this. Some of us, we put out job ads and they only focus on the skill set, right? They only focus on a narrow focus, right? The first mistake to leading to a bad hire often starts with a bad job advertisement, okay? Companies make the mistake of posting a job that focuses on skills needed for the position, including preferred degrees and certifications. And what's happens is this approach tends to attract more mediocre applicants. Okay? So what you got to focus on is, okay, what are you going to offer the candidate? Okay? Why should they come to work for you? See, it's not just about the fact that they need a job, or you might pay them a great amount of money, or you might have a 401k, or you might have medical, you might have dental, you might have, a person that comes around and all they got to do is bring their cat into the office and they groom their cat. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits that you can offer your employees. But what is going to make it a great culture for them? What is going to make them so excited to come to work in the morning? Okay? So a practical example, one of my clients in the Bay Area, she has about 22 employees. And I said, hey, we need a sales support person for your 4 estimators. She says, well, I'm going to go away to France for a month, okay? I need you to find that person. And so we put out the job ad, and the job ad wasn't getting any traction. And I'm like, I'm not following my own advice. So I went back and I tweaked the job ad. And I said, how would you like to work in an environment where as a sales assistant your job is appreciated? How would you like to work in an environment as a sales support person? The people that you're supporting pat you on the back. The people that you're supporting appreciate you. The people that you're supporting are giving you all the accolades for all the support that you gave them and sharing with you in the wealth of what they're creating. How would you like to show up every single day and be challenged and not have to go through the same mundane routine every single day? So if this sounds like a dream job for you, you might want to pay attention right now, because this company has a sales support person that we're looking for. That person is going to be the right-hand person to 4 very experienced sales people. If they show up and they do a great job, better than everybody else, they're going to be financially rewarded with not only a great competitive base salary, but commissions, bonus, not to mention all the 401k and the medical and the dental, all the other stuff that normally comes with a job. But they're going to be literally, they're going to have a situation where they just cannot wait to get there in the morning and they don't want to leave at night. If that's a job that you're looking for, you may want to apply to send over your cover letter and your resume. Now, if you send over a cover letter, here's what I want you to do. I want you to put in detail why you're interested in the job and what you are going to bring to the table. Number 2, the skill set that is described in this job ad, I want you to detail out as to what skills you have, what are some past successes that you have, and how that's going to help us. Okay? Number 3, what is it you're looking for from an employer? What has to exist in a job environment for you to be completely happy, and why? And so we had the job ad out there. We have them reply, and we had all kinds of candidates, man. It's like we had people from Baskin Robbins. I mean, it's like immediate disqualification, right? They didn't follow the instructions, okay? But we ultimately found 3 candidates, and one of them was in Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Now, she's in the Bay Area, okay? So I'm like looking at the guy's resume, and it's like it's almost like he had a hidden camera when we were detailing out what the job required. I'm like, this is too perfect. Now, I could have done what most people do, which is I got him on the phone. Great phone skills. Great. I mean, cover letter, everything was just unbelievable, right? Could have said, man, you know what? You are perfect for the position. But no. Gave him a trimetric assessment, behaviors, driving forces, competencies, making sure that he's a fit. Now, why are those 3 important? Here's why. Behaviors, formerly known as like DISC, right? DISC, or Myers-Briggs, or personality styles you heard, okay? Behavioral styles, when I assess somebody's behavioral style, it's going to give me a 60% view of who they are. This is how they show up in the world. Okay? And too many people make the mistake of saying, okay, because this person is a DI, they're perfect. That's not true. Okay, just because they're a high C, low S doesn't mean they're perfect either. Okay, just tells me how they show up in the world. What I need in addition to that is I need their top driving forces. What drives them internally? And that assessment will give me that. And so depending on the role, and now that I know how their behaviors are and I know what their driving forces are, I can literally have about a 89% chance of hiring the right individual for the right job. Okay? And then I take the competencies part and I apply it and I go, okay, this person needs to have these top competencies. And now I got a 93% chance of hiring the right person for that role. Now, there's still the 7% who they are, IQ-wise, acumen-wise, okay, their references, what their past experiences were, okay? And some of us, especially if you're like in the real estate world or the mortgage world, we're seeing resumes where it's like, I was here for 1 year, I was here for 6 months, I was here for a year, I was here for 2 years, I was here for literally 2 hours. I mean, it's like you're seeing these kind of resumes, you're like, this is not the person. Well, I want to caution you on that. We just went through hell in the economy, but maybe that person hasn't found the right fit. You see? They may have all the skill set in the world, but if they're not the right fit, they're not going to be happy. You see? And so taking the time to assess them in that area will really help you out. But make sure you have a great job ad. Here's an interesting quote. It says, according to a 2015 Pew Research survey, nearly 30% of American adults have used their smartphone in some way for their job search, including browsing job listings, which are 94% of smartphone job seekers, filling out online job applications, 50%, and creating a resume or cover letter, over 23%. Okay. Now, in the show notes, I'm going to put a link to this article. Very good article. But what it tells you is, you know what? You need to have a good quality job ad that's very, very appealing and put it out. You can't just put it out there on Craigslist. You got to use some of these job posting boards that have the ability to right size the job ad based on the device that they're accessing it from. So something like ZipRecruiter. Excellent source. ZipRecruiter is what we use to hire this guy out of Puerto Rico. Perfect candidate. Okay? Very simple to use because it puts it out on 100 different job boards. And to get like 7 days off, use my buddy EO Fire's code, eofire.com/ or ZipRecruiter.com/fire. You'll get 7 days for free. Okay? But you want to focus on digital trends and social media when you're putting your job ad out there. Okay? Your job ad really needs to focus on the soft skills that they need, the competencies they need. You want to also, when you're getting your resumes in and you're starting to finalize your candidates, check out their social media profiles. Go to Facebook, go to Twitter, go to LinkedIn. If I'm hiring for an executive level position or an administrative position, and I go to LinkedIn and they don't have a LinkedIn profile, that is a huge red flag. Okay? Same thing with Twitter. I may find the perfect candidate, and I go to Twitter, and this person is like totally blowing up social media with a bunch of negative crap. I don't want that on staff. Are they a fit? Do they fit the personality to the job? That comes down to behavioral styles. Do I need somebody who is totally non-communicative and they're very focused on details and getting work done? Or do I need somebody that's more outgoing and personal in nature? Do I need somebody that's warm, that's appreciative, that's harmonious, that's altruistic in the office environment? Or do I need somebody that's really just focused on getting the job done, that's more resourceful? What do I need as far as that's concerned? Next is you want to improve your interviews. I'm going to share with you my interview and hiring process. So my interview and hiring process is simple. Okay, I come up with a stellar job ad. I use an online tool. For my case, I use ZipRecruiter because it gives me the ability to select, rate them really, really quickly. Okay? So I go in, and my very first criteria for elimination of a resume, elimination from a job candidate is very simple. Do they have the minimum requirements outlined in the job ad? Did they follow my specific instructions about the cover letter? If they violated both those, I don't care what kind of qualifications they have, they're getting eliminated. I don't need an employee on staff that's not going to do what I'm asking them to do. Okay? And what they're telling me by not replying to the job ad correctly is they don't have the ability to follow instruction. So that's number one. Once I get them through that part, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at, okay, job history. My candidates that make it all the way to the top of like an A category candidate would be somebody that has not had more than 3 jobs in the past 10 years. That's just my qualification. You determine what's in your best interest. But for me, it's, have you had more than 3 jobs in the last 10 years? Now, I'm not hiring for a real estate person, so I'm not going to have to deal with that. If I'm a real estate, like I just helped a client of mine hire, well, actually, we're still in the final stages of hiring the right candidate, but they're hiring a person that needs to have real estate background. And the resumes we're getting have, 5, 6, 7 job ads in the last 10 years because of what the freaking economy did. So there's an exception to the rule there. But in my case, typically what I'm looking for is no more than 3 job changes in the last 10 years. And they go as in my A pool. The ones that have had 5 to 6 job changes in the last 10 years go in my B pool. Anybody that's had more than 6 job changes in the last 10 years, I shit can them. Okay? Because I don't need that kind of person. Now, I look at their competencies. I look at what industry they're in. Again, it's all relative. If I'm hiring for an executive level position and somebody was in the real estate industry and they were an executive and they're applying for my job, what it's telling me is that they're sick and tired of the real estate industry and the turnover. Okay? So I would probably bring those people in. But those are my qualifications, because when you put out a job ad, you're going to get a crap load of people responding. You've got to have some criteria. So I have a process of elimination there. Next is I want to set up a phone screen. No more than a 10 to 15 minute phone call. I want to hear their voice. Okay? Before I spend a half hour to an hour doing a phone interview, I want to spend a good 10 to 15 minutes hearing their voice, asking them for specific questions, asking them clarifications about their resume. Okay. Prior to that 10 to 15 minute call, I'm going to go to their social media. I'm going to verify that they're there. Okay. If they don't have LinkedIn or Twitter or any of that stuff, I'm going to ask them that on the 10 to 15 minute phone interview. Hey, why don't you have a LinkedIn profile? Why don't you have a Facebook profile? Why don't you have a Twitter profile? Okay. Well, I'm just not into social media. Well, I find that hard to believe. Okay. So what you're telling me is you're 26 years old, or looking at your resume, it looks like you graduated from high school, so you're probably in your mid to late 20s. Now, here's the word of a caution. Never ask a person their age. Never ask a person religion. There are certain things as an employee you cannot ask. Okay, but you can look at a resume and decipher it for yourself. Okay, so I can tell, graduated from high school in 1988. Well, that would mean that you're 46 like me. Okay, so I already know that. And so I get them on the phone. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, you don't have social media. Oh, okay. So let me see here. You're probably about 30. I don't tell them this, but I'm thinking you're 31 years old. You don't have any social media profiles. Either you're lying to me right now, okay, or you're running from a stalker. I don't know either one, right? But I find it very hard to believe you have 0 social media profiles, okay, which means you're not connected to the world at all, which means you and I might not be a fit. Okay, so I need to know that. So I'm going to do a phone screen. I'm going to ask them questions about their resume. I'm going to ask them questions: why did they leave the last job? Why are they looking to leave? What needs to exist in the role that we're hiring for in order for them to be happy? What are they ultimately looking for? Where do they want to go? Are they looking for a long-term job, a short-term job? Make a list of questions prior to. Now, if you're interested, I have about a 5-pager of just unbelievably phenomenal interview questions. So if you're on the live call or listening to the recording, I want you to send me an email, jpyron@johnpyron.com, or you can send me a text message. And let me find the phone number that you're going to want to use. Okay, so the phone number to send me a text message is 916-741-0596. So 916-741-0596. You need to put your name, your full name, and your email address in there. And then in the put in there, send me the employee interview questions. So either send it to me via email or text. Either one's fine. Am I going to put you on my mailing list? You better believe it. Am I going to spam you? Absolutely not, because I don't do that kind of crap. So I'm only going to send you great content. But if you want that document, just send it to me, and we'll go from there. All right. So we got the phone screen down. Now what we need to do is we need to give them an assessment. Once I do a 10 to 15-minute phone interview, I'm going to narrow down the candidates to the ones I think are the best fit based off of their resume, based off of following instructions, based off of how I talked to them on the phone, how they answered the questions, what questions did they ask me. I'm going to send them an assessment. And I want to make sure I do that after that phone screen because these assessments aren't free. They cost me money in order to do a proper assessment. So I'm going to send them a link. I'm going to make sure that they understand this is not a determination of whether I hire you or not. Okay? It's to determine how I can best fit you into my organization. What are your skill sets? What is your skill set? What drives you as a person? What is your behavior? You know, where would you be the best fit, and how can I make your life great? Because if you're going to spend a third of your life with me in my company, you got to want to come to work, man. You can't like wake up and go, this sucks, right? So you got to be excited about that. So I'm going to send them the assessment. What I'm looking for is speed in taking the assessment. It's a 30-minute assessment. So, and I do not tell them this. I just send them instructions. I say, here's the assessment link. Please carve out 30 minutes of uninterrupted time over the next 48 hours and send me a text or an email that you completed it. So again, I'm testing them in their ability to follow instructions. Okay? The ones that don't get it done, or the ones that don't send me a response going, hey, sorry, but I'm going out of town for a couple of days, not going to be able to get to it, till 3 days from now. I'm looking for communication here. I'm looking to test them and their abilities to communicate and to take responsibility. How many of us have hired employees that want to blame everybody else for not getting results? And this is going to allow me to hire the ones that are responsible, that take personal responsibility for their actions. I'm not looking for excuse makers here. Okay? So, do the assessment, come back, I get the assessment, I'm looking at it, I'm basing it, okay, what are the competencies for this role? What kind of behavioral style do they need? What kind of driving forces are needed here? And if I feel like, man, this is a perfect match, okay, then I'm going to move them on to the next level, which is I'm going to call them, and now we're going to have a full-blown half hour to an hour, maybe an hour and a half long phone interview, preferably on Skype or GoToMeeting. Okay, I like GoToMeeting better because it's a lot more secure than Skype is. Okay, so or Zoom or any meeting. There's all kinds of platforms out there that you can use, but I want to understand their ability to use technology, which is why I'm not just inviting them in for a physical interview. Anybody can come in for a physical interview. I want somebody who can fire up their computer, figure out how to launch the application, figure out how to get onto it. I want to know if they're resourceful. Okay? So we do the phone interview. I take the sheet of 5 pages, the 5 pages of questions that I have, and I carve out the questions that I want to ask this person. I go through their assessment with them, and I get clarification because there's some really good interview questions on that assessment in there. And I go through that, and I ask them to get clarification on hey, it says in here that you like a lot of change, that you love frequent change in the environment. Is that true? Yes. Why do you like frequent change in the environment? Okay. Or it may say this person hates frequent change. And so I may ask them, hey, the assessment here says that you frequent change is low. It's very, very low on the totem pole for you. So why is that a challenge for you? And they may come back and say, well, you know what? I like things to be steady. I like things to be consistent. I'm looking for a company that doesn't have a lot of change internally. See, I need to know that, because if that person hates frequent change and my company's culture has a lot of frequent change, this person's going to be miserable. They're not going to be happy. Now, if you notice, I've spent a tremendous amount of time talking about behavior, culture, competencies, the right fit, what needs to exist for them to be happy. They're going to spend a third of their life with me, so I need to know how I can make their world just absolutely great. Notice I haven't talked about money at all, because here's what I've learned. Money is about the 7th reason someone quits. True story. Money is not the top priority. People want to be fulfilled. They want to be happy. They want to know that they matter, that they mean something. And one of the things that I learned on one of the key secrets to hiring a perfect employee is I look at this person, it's like, hey, this one area of my business, okay, I'm looking for you to be the CEO in that area of my business. Okay? I need you to take 100% responsibility for this area of my business. I want you to be so much better than me in this area that you can dominate that area and make it even better. And so because it's such a critical area, and I'm talking any role that you hire for your company, and I've hired engineers, I've hired salespeople, I've hired marketing people, business development people, a lot of my clients I've hired employees for, administrative assistants, labor guys that put up fencing, project managers. I mean, you name the role, I pretty much have hired for it. Okay? So what I'm telling you is making sure that the role is a right fit for the person, behavior-wise, skill set-wise, driving forces-wise, is huge. Because if they're going to spend a third of their life there, you're going to want them fired up about coming into work. And that's why you want to take your time. Okay? So now that they've taken the assessment, I've identified, hey, this looks like a great candidate. Okay? I'm going to do an hour to an hour and a half phone interview, preferably on GoToMeeting, Zoom, Skype, or something like that, where I can see them, I can look them in the eye, they can look me in the eye, and we can share that document, okay, back and forth. I want to go over it. And based off of the answers to the questions in there, I'm going to be able to know whether this person could be a fit for the culture. They got to be a fit, man. If they're not a fit, trust me, you're gonna regret it. Okay. So, 2010, I had joined a CEO peer group in April 2009, and went from $1 million a year in revenue with 12 employees to $1 million a year in revenue with 6 employees, because I joined that peer group and they taught me these assessments. They taught me how to get the right talent on board. And it made the company a whole lot more money, but the magic thing is I only had to spend 10 hours a week managing the company. Okay? And so here we are a year and a half later. And I'll never forget my buddy Carl out of New Jersey is part of the group, and he's just raw, dude. I mean, he just tells you like it is, right? Hopefully we all have friends like this. He goes, John, you absolutely suck as an operations guy. And then there's like 11 other CEOs in the room, right? He goes, you absolutely suck at it, and you're never going to go beyond $1 million to $10 million unless you get somebody who is rock solid at operations. That's what he told me. Okay. So what did I do? What I shouldn't have done. Went out and was playing golf with my buddy Bob. And my buddy Bob been in operations for 30 years. And he's working for a company that he just got announced that they're going to sell that company to another company, and now he's going to have to go look for another job. And we're playing golf, and he says, what's the biggest challenge you have right now? I said, I need a good, solid operations guy. He said, well, why not me? I go, dude, you make $280,000 a year. Okay? I'm not looking to pay that kind of money. He goes, can you afford 85? I'm like, sure, but what gives? He says, I always wanted to own a piece of a company and grow it, and you and Justin, we could take this to a $10 million company. I know you can do it. You just need an operations guy. I said, man, this is great. This is manna from heaven. I said, this is going to be unbelievable, right? So gave Bob the financials, went through a whole 10-month vetting process, brought Bob on board in April of 2011. Within 3 months, I wanted to kill Bob. Okay, I wanted to strangle Bob. Okay, Bob was the wrong fit. Bob was the worst nightmare I had ever had in my entire business life. Okay, and it took me 2 more months to get rid of him, and then I had to get rid of the other business partner. Then I had to fire every single employee because of what Bob did. Now, had I gone through and said, I don't give a crap if I've known Bob for 9 years, I'm going to walk Bob through a hiring process that I know. I mean, I had it. That's how I had those other employees. But I bypassed the process because I'm all-knowing or whatever, okay? And it was the most humbling experience of my life, and it taught me a very valuable lesson. Do not bypass the process, okay? That single mistake cost me over $400,000 in sales, okay? Because after firing everybody, 40% of the client base took off. I had to rebuild all that. It was 9 months of pure hell that could have been avoided because I had a great, tight hiring process. Okay? So let's get back to where we're at in the process. So we have a great job ad. We've done a phone screen. We've done a rock-solid assessment process. We've got them on the phone. We walked them through it. We figured out, oh, man, this person is a cultural fit. The skill set's there. They got the driving forces. They got all the stuff. Now what we need to do is we completed our phone interview. Our goal with the phone interview is to whittle the list down to 5 to 6 finalists. Okay? We want to whittle the list down to 5 to 6 finalists if we have that many. And we want to bring them in for a personal face-to-face interview. And if you've got a business partner or a business coach or anybody else, or employees, have them in that interview. And here's what you want to tell the person. Here's what I want you to do prior to the interview. Number 1 is I want you to bring a list of references. Okay? Number 2 is I want you to bring me a narrative of the most successful, most happiest time you've ever had working for someone. Next is I want you to bring me a narrative of the worst moment you've had as an employee. And I want you to come here dressed in your best business attire. And I don't tell them how to dress. I just tell them, hey, I want you to dress in your best business attire. And then we set up the interview. And what I'm looking for is, did the person show up early or right on time? I'm cool with them showing up right on time, but I'm not okay with them showing up late. Okay? Number 2, and here goes another test, right? Do they have the ability to follow instruction? And if they show up dressed and sloppy, I'm going to ask them, hey, is this your best business attire? They might say, yeah, man, I don't have any clothes. And that's fine with me. I don't really care. As long as you did your best. It didn't matter to me what you look like. Okay? Number 2, did you follow the other instructions about the references and the 2 questions? Yes, here they are. Great. Now we got a place to start from. And I'm going to interview them, and I'm looking for, are we a fit? Do you like the culture? I want to know, I need to know when I turned it over and I asked them, do you have any questions for me? What I'm looking for with this candidate is, did they do their homework? You know, what do you like about our website? What do you like about our culture? What do you like about our business? What do you like about our history? You know, what other research have you done on our company? And I'm looking for the answers to those questions. And I'm going to watch their voice inflection. I'm going to watch their eye contact. Now, if they're a high C or a high S, eye contact's not going to be a lot. Okay? So you need to be aware of that. That's why understanding these behavioral assessments are very important. But I want to look at the physical interview. Okay? Do they speak confidently? Are they comfortable with the role? What are they looking for? What will make them happy? If you came on board, this is where you're going to sit. Would you be okay coming here every day, sitting here? You know? Does the ambiance work? You know, I want them to go around and meet the other people. I want them to ask a bunch of questions. And now what I'm looking for is 3 finalists. 3. If I have enough candidates, I'm looking to take that top 6 list and whittle it down to the 3 top hires. Okay? Now, one of the things I will highly recommend you do, depends on the state that you're in, you need to look up the laws there. But in all the companies that I hire employees for, you will go through a background check and a drug screen. Okay? And I tell them that, hey, you know what, congratulations, you're one of the top 3 finalists. Here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to call your references. I'm going to call your past employers. Okay, because in the interview I will have asked them, if I call this ex-employer, what are they going to say about you? That's going to be one of those interview questions. So again, text me or email me, I'll get you a list of those questions. So I'm going to ask them, hey, I'm going to call these past employers. I'm going to call your references. And then if everything works out, we are going to make our decision this coming Friday. So I let them know what the hiring process is going to be. We're going to make our decision this coming Friday. If you are the chosen candidate, you're going to have to go through a background check and drug screen. Is that going to be an issue, yes or no? Because if it is, you need to tell me now so I don't waste your time. Okay? And if they say, well, yeah, it's going to be an issue, then I'm going to ask them, hey, well, what is it? You know, what am I going to find by doing that? You know? And depending on what they say, I may have an issue with it, I may not have an issue with it. Well, you know, I did something 25 years ago when I was stupid at 18 years old, and it's still on my record. Okay, well, I mean, here we are 25 years later. Are you still doing that? Obviously not. You haven't been convicted for it again, right? Okay? We're still going to do the background check to verify what the hell you're saying. Okay? Now, some jobs require a credit check. Okay? If you're going to handle finances, if that person is going to handle finances in any way, shape, or form in your business, you need to do a background check, drug screening, and a credit check. If they're going to be responsible for the bookkeeping and financing, and you bring somebody on who's in massive amounts of debt and their FICO score's crap, do you want that person in that role? No, because that's how embezzlement happens. Okay? So understanding the role and what's required, I tell them, hey, this is what we're going to do over the next couple of days, and so let me ask you one final question. What would have to exist in a job offer for it to make sense for you? What would have to exist financially? What would have to? I don't tell them what the role is going to pay. Okay? I tell them, hey, what would have to exist in a job offer for it to make sense for you? Financially, benefits-wise, etc. And then they tell me, and I write it down. And literally 90% of the time that I ask that question, they tell me a dollar amount that's far less than what I'd be willing to pay. Because human nature, most of us as human beings, that will think less of ourselves than somebody else does. It's just human nature. I don't care if you're Bill Gates. I don't care if you're Warren Buffett. We as human beings tend to value ourselves lower than what other people value us at. And so I already know that they're going to come in at a lower number. Now, here's a trick to hiring a great employee. Let's just say you get through the process and you're prepared to make this person a job offer. And let's just say they said $20 an hour. Here's what I would do. I would offer them 22. You always want to go up and beyond where they were expecting, because that right out of the gate shows them that you value them. Okay? So you got the 3 candidates, you whittle it down, you've made your decision. Okay? Now you want to take the time to call the interview, call the references, and if after doing all of that you really still feel like, hey, I've got a tie here. Now, if you go through looking at the past references, calling the past employers, doing all this other checks on what they told you in the interviews, literally probably 95% of the time one person is going to stand out. Okay, for me personally, that's what I've gone through. One person out of 3 is going to stand out, and it's a gut thing. And I typically will go with that one person. Okay, but if I have 2 candidates that I'm like, oh my God, I just cannot make the right decision, okay, then what I want to do is I want to bring them in for one final interview. And I want to find a friend, a personal friend that knows me very well. Or if I'm lucky and I have a bunch of employees, I want to find another employee, okay, who's a lot more critical maybe, okay. If I don't have that luxury, I'm going to find a personal friend that knows me very, very well. Or if I'm working with a business coach or mentor, and I'm going to have them in that final interview. If you're married, I would highly recommend bringing in your spouse, if at all possible. And here's what's going to happen. They're able to see stuff that you're not able to see. And they're going to help you make the decision between those 2 candidates. And once you have the decision nailed down, you want to send them the offer. Do not tell the second person that they're not hired yet until this first person accepts the offer. Okay? Don't let these other 2, since you narrowed it down to 3, know that they're not hired until this first person accepts it. Once that first person accepts it, then the classy thing to do would be to write a letter to the 2 that did not make it and say, hey, really enjoyed the process. It was really great to get to know you better. And here's an even better move. If you know of a client or somebody who could hire these people, man, make the intro. Okay? If not, say, hey, I wish you the very best. If you need, if I think of anybody, I will let you know. In fact, if you're okay, I will send me a social media post, and I'll gladly throw it out on my social media and see if I can help you find a job. Okay? Because by the time they've gotten to this process, I like them. Okay? So that's it. Once you get them on board, it's very simple. Okay? They're going to send you the job offer letter, sign the job description, signed. You need to have those things in place. I have those processes if you need them. And then be classy. Okay, send them a welcome gift. Okay, send them something to their home. Edible Arrangements is a really good company. It's in most cities in the United States. Maybe a box of chocolates, a card, something that says, hey, we're so excited to have you on board. Okay, and we can't wait for you to start next Monday. Now that does a couple of things. Number one, their spouse, if they're married or a significant other, sees that, because that's always a concern. You're bringing on somebody to your family. You're bringing on somebody to your business. And there's always a concern for the spouse is like, man, is this the right job? Is this the right fit for my husband or for my wife? And by you doing something that no other employer does, you're going to make a stand, and that you're going to have more trust in that spouse. You need that spouse's support in order for your new employee to really thrive. Okay, and then we're about out of time, so I'm going to walk through. I am doing a webinar. I'm going to do, because I was hoping to get it finished up today, but here's what I'm going to do. Over the next 2 weeks, Ash, right? So over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do probably an hour to 2 hour webinar where I'm going to have slides, I'm going to have handouts, I'm going to have all that stuff on this exact process. So if you want to be invited to that, okay, I'm not going to open it up to everybody. If you want to be invited to that, it's going to actually be limited to 100 people. So if you want to be invited to that before I put it out there, okay, email me or send me a text. Go to johnpyron.com. However you want to get a hold of me, send me and say, hey, add me to that list for that webinar, and I'll make sure you get added to it. Sorry we didn't get a chance to do any Q&A today. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of this. It's going to be up on the podcast channel in the next 24, 48 hours. Go out and make it happen this next week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great one. Go ahead and stop.